Hello and welcome back to London Centuries. Thanks for joining me on an absolutely glorious day here at Big Ben in central London, setting off on another ride. And if you're new to the channel, this is where I do slightly longer bike rides, sometimes trying to do a theme around something from history or literature, and I try to have a bit of an adventure while I'm at it. And I hope I have a good one for you today. So I've done Shakespeare and I've done Dickens and I've done a few others. Time for something a little bit different, because if you follow the channel over the last couple of years, I've been fortunate enough to get to bits of France, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, a little bit of Germany, but only a little bit. I thought it's about time I took Germany a bit more seriously. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the towering giant of German literature, is Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and his masterwork is the epic dramatic poem Faust. There couldn't be anything more German than Goethe's Faust. If you've been neglecting your swatting up on Goethe's Faust recently, well, absolutely no worries about that. It won't be too heavy, but I'll say a few things about the piece while I'm on my way. But first of all, where do you go? Where do you go if you want to do a bike ride themed around Goethe's Faust? Well, fortunately, that's very easy. And I think I found a perfect location which is both archetypally German and has a starring role in Goethe's Faust. In fact, that's the reason it's archetypally German. It's called Brocken Mountain. It's the highest peak in northern Germany, slap bang in the middle of the country. It's in the Harz Mountains. I'll do one of my little maps to show where Brocken Mountain is in Germany, because that's where I'm off to. Top of the Brocken and back from London. And I'll say something about my route there in a moment. But first of all, back to Faust. It's a Northern European medieval legend, really. And for an English-speaking audience, it's probably best known from the play by Christopher Marlowe, who was a contemporary of Shakespeare. He called him Dr. Faustus, but it's the same bloke, because there are slightly different versions of the story. Marlowe's version is that Dr. Faustus makes a pact with the devil. That's at the heart of it. He sells his soul to the devil in return for power and knowledge. Marlowe's play is really good, but it's a bit of a battle between good and evil, you know, the same old stuff that you know very well. God's really good, the devil's really bad. Silly old Faust is far too arrogant and makes a terrible mistake, ends up suffering for all eternity, burning in hell. Like, spot the moral, right? It has its roots in the time when, I suppose, Copernicus had the temerity to scandalously publish his work claiming that Earth was not at the centre of the cosmos, which I think got him excommunicated from the church, didn't it? So basically the story is saying, don't have too much knowledge, don't know too much, stay in your place, man. Yes, there was a ferry there from Harwich to the Hook of Holland. So, Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, a little bit simplistic. Maybe that's a bit unfair, I don't know. Quick little bicycle ferry over the canal. So anyway, that was Christopher Marlowe and his Dr. Faustus. And then our guy, Goethe, he came along a little bit later, 1749 to 1832. And it really was his life's work, because he started writing it and published a first version when he was still a really young man. I think he was 20 or something. But then he obviously couldn't stop tinkering with the thing. He published a second version when he was an old man, and he was still working on it pretty much when he died, I think. But look, I'm going on about Goethe's Faust, and I'm not even in Germany yet. I'm still in the Netherlands, and I think I should say a thing or two about my route to Brocken Mountain. I'll do a route map and put it over this bit of video, because at the moment I'm going kind of straight north, which is not the most obvious thing to do, but there's a good reason for it, and I'll come to that in just a jiffy. Stage one was just straight up from London through Chelmsford and Colchester to Harwich to get the ferry to Hook of Holland. I took an overnight ferry to get some sleep and try to set myself up for today, which is a reasonably long day, because this is stage 2 from Hook of Holland, going straight up through the Netherlands to Groningen, right up the top end of the country. Stage 3, that's the monster. I'm going to do a 1,000 kilometer loop from Groningen into northwest Germany, up the top of the Brocken and back to Groningen again. That's nuts, I hear you say. Why on earth would you want to do that? Yeah, I know, but I'll explain why in a minute. Then stages 4, 5 and 6 are just getting home the easiest way I possibly can. So back down through the Netherlands to Hook of Holland, taking a slightly different route this time, and then the return ferry to Harwich and home. And having mentioned Groningen, I think this is the outskirts of town. Nice town centre too. I've got to find an Airbnb in the town centre somewhere. So, as you might be able to tell, it's morning now, and time for me to set off with a big monster stage 3. Well, it's because this bit from Groningen, I'm going to join an organised Oordax, a Dutch Randonneuring Association. It's a 1,000 kilometer Oordax, but that's why I'm doing a 1,000 kilometer loop, and it's going right where I want to go. So I'm just about to go to the start and join them. I've got about half an hour to go, and we're off. So it's east and a little bit north, I think, out of Groningen, heading towards the German border. And it's not warm, even though we got a little bit of sunshine. Well, 2 hours in now, I've just realised I'm in Germany. I didn't notice the border, only spotted it because of the road signs. But the landscape is changing, and so is the weather. This is a hailstorm right now. I feel like I'm back in Britain. Well, fortunately that was only a short shower. Well, the weather's picked up a bit. I got the first 100 miles done. That's the good news. Not quite so good is that I missed the first control, like a complete dolt. And I didn't go back for it. The second one's just coming up. I hope I'll get away with having missed that. The situation is that that's the first 200 kilometers done in just under 8 hours, which makes it sound like I'm really going for it, but it's thanks to a fantastic tailwind that's been pushing me along very nicely indeed. And the way I've got this planned out, I'm going to try and do it in 2 halves. If you saw my last video, the one I put up a few weeks ago, I went coast to coast from Aberdown to Great Yarmouth, which is about 550k, and I chose that because it's basically what I'm trying to do right now. Smidgen over halfway for this one, but I've got a hotel booked at kilometre, I think roughly 550 or something, which is just after the Brocken Mountain. I want to keep going all the way overnight, up the Brocken, down the other side, short way the other side, and I've got somewhere to sleep. Back to Groningen again. I'm well and truly in the land of Goethe. Fitting for this ride, all about his epic, dramatic poem Faust. That's right, and compared to Marlowe's Dr. Faustus, it's got some more subtleties to it, I think. Whereas Marlowe's version is basically built round Dr. Faustus making a pact with the devil, Goethe's has a slightly different setup, because it kicks off with a nice sort of friendly chat between God and the devil. Faust is God's favourite human being, because he's a scholar and he's in love with learning and knowledge, and he can't get enough of it. And the devil, as he's chatting away with God, looks down onto the earth and says to God, hey, you see that bloke Faust there? I bet I can tempt him over to the dark side. And God goes, nah, you never do that. He's too good. And the devil goes, no, I bet you I can. And so the two of them enter into this bet. So really you could be forgiven for thinking that it's a complete and total stitch up for poor old Faust from the get-go. What an evening. It's about 8 o'clock now. Sunset's at 9:20. Sunrise in the morning about 5:15. So that gives me quite a long stretch to get through. The forecast is it's going to be really cold. One of them said 2 degrees, another one said 3 degrees. So I'll be stopping at some point to put on gloves and a base layer and stuff. Probably do that in Hanover. Sun going down behind me, isn't it? I'm halfway to where I'm going to stop and rest. But for now, it's all about getting to the Brocken. Hanover. It's been raining. I'm very hungry. Pizza. Middle of the night. Actually getting on for dawn. 400 kilometers, 18 hours. Started the climbing. Oh yeah. Climbing slowly up. I haven't got to the turn off yet to go up the Brocken. This is just making my way through the Harz Mountains. The Brocken's famous for always being cold and always being misty. It's 1100 meters. And in the bad old days of the DDR, East Germany, the Brocken was on the border and East Germany had control of it. So they closed it to public access and banned people from going up, because the Soviets put a load of spy gear on the top so they could spy on the Westerners. Sad reminder of the recent past. So here it is at last, the lower slopes of the Brocken Mountain, and I can see it's about to get a lot steeper, and although it looks like a road, it's just bikes and pedestrians allowed up here. But let's get back to Faust, shall we? How it kicks off is that Faust has this assistant. The assistant's name is Wagner. One day he's going for a walk with Wagner, and in the distance Faust keeps glimpsing what looks like a black poodle dog, and he says to Wagner, "Oh, look at that dog." Wagner's nonplussed and goes, "It's just a dog." Faust goes, "No, it looks like it's got these fiery red lines coming out behind it. Can't you see them?" Wagner goes, "Nah, it's just a dog." Faust goes, "Seems to be going in circles round us." "Nah, it's just a dog." I'm paraphrasing slightly here. Anyway, the dog comes up to them. Looks like a dog. It's a poodle, a black poodle, and it follows them home. In fact, follows Faust into his study and goes and sits behind the stove, whereupon it suddenly begins to transform. It was never a dog at all. It is, wait for it, Mephistopheles, the devil, but he's in disguise. Now this is a bit of a surprise. Mephistopheles points out that Faust has a pentagram carved by his doorway, you know, as you do. But two of the lines of the pentagram don't quite meet. And it's on account of this that Mephistopheles was able to enter the study. And for reasons to do with the laws of hell, although he got in, he can't get out. So he asks Faust to let him out, but Faust says no. Mephistopheles says, "Oh please, because I want to go home." This isn't me paraphrasing, this is actually in the thing. "Please, I want to go home." Faust says no. And then they start to do this deal. And this is another interesting bit, because instead of being a straight pact like in the Marlowe, it's another one of these funny bets. Because Faust, being a teensy weensy on the arrogant side, figures that if he agrees that Mephistopheles should be his servant while he's alive, and he'll be Mephistopheles' servant and burn in hell for all eternity after he's dead. This will never actually happen, because with Mephistopheles as his servant, he'll have limitless power and knowledge, and he'll never die. And the structure of the bet is that if Mephistopheles can grant Faust a moment of pure transcendence, where his pleasure is so great that all he wants to do is stay in that moment, then he agrees to die. But Faust thinks that's never going to happen, because he's always wanting more, you see. It's not actually a very good bet. But there we go, and the story really gets underway. Oh my word, I'm here, I'm at the top of the Brocken. I go and check out the view. It's windy and cold. Well, that's nice. Now, because I'm already at the top, I'm going to skip the subplot with a tragic love story and get straight on to the bit about Brocken. So fast forward a bit, and Faust and Mephistopheles are going for a walk,
on the Brocken. And it's on Walpurgis night, which is the witches' Sabbath. And naturally it's a dark and stormy night. Mists are swirling. There are witches on broomsticks and bonfires. And again, there are some slightly odd bits. They go and watch a play at some point. And there at the top, the cloven-hoofed one is sitting at the summit in a cloud of red mist. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, so that I could say the cloven-hoofed one. Heading off to find my stay, because it's been just about 27 hours so far. Covered 512 kilometers with a few to go. Well, I found my stay, but I couldn't sleep. Dropped off for about an hour and a half. Just woke up again. I thought, this is pointless. May as well just keep going. It's gonna rain all night and all day tomorrow, so there's no avoiding it. So I think I'll probably put the camera away for much of the time. Do a bit of plodding. Suddenly seeing other riders. Well, it did rain most of the night. It has been raining most of the day. As you think the landscape's changed. Well, you're right, but still Germany, still Lower Saxony. It's looking very Dutch though, isn't it? Getting closer all the time. Here we go. This is the border. Germany, the Netherlands. There you go. It's different, isn't it? Still got to get back to Groningen though. Be back in the Netherlands now. Nice though. Way. What an evening. I've said that before, but it's true though, isn't it? It looks as though it might be dark by the time I get to Groningen, because it's still a little way off. Not too far. Well, this is it. Back in good old Groningen again. I've got to go off and find the organiser's house to get my brevet card stamped and try and sort out that thing about the missing control, remember? But I'll cut this bit of the video right here, and I'm going to take a rest day and then pop up to ride home back to London again. Oh. So it's going to be goodbye Groningen. Don't have too far to go this morning, but I had to start early because I hope to catch a ferry across the IJsselmeer, the inland sea, or whatever you call it. So I'm taking a different route home, back to London. Oh dear. It looks like I have a problem. I didn't realise it, but it's another one of those tiny little bike ferries to get across a waterway. But it's only 7:20 in the morning and no idea what time it starts. Probably not till 9 o'clock. Oh God. And I don't know how far it would be to go round. Well, the situation's quite bad actually. I don't know if you can tell, but an absolutely driving wind and very heavy rain. Really quite grim. I've got the Garmin to recalculate a route, and I've missed my ferry. It looks like there's no way I can make it. It's going to go at 25 past 10, and this recalculated route seems to be about 50 kilometers longer. Under normal conditions I could do it, but not into this wind. It's mad. Well, I'm back on a road, which is good. And as I remember, there is another ferry across the Isselmeer later today, but it just leaves me less time the other side to get down to the Hook of Holland for my big ferry to England tonight. It's the important one. And the ferry across the Isselmeer goes from a town called Stavoren, and in my head I was going to have this lovely gentle ramble from Groningen down to Stavoren. It was going to take me 4 hours and be nice and relaxing after the long, hard 1,000-kilometer brevet, which all just goes to show and teach me yet again, when will I ever learn, the danger of having things in my head. Oh gosh, at last. This is Stavoren. There's been a council of war decisions have been taken. That detour I had to take because of the little waterway and the no foot ferry across it at 7 o'clock in the morning, that stuffed me, that did. I looked at the detour that I did, and it was a stupid route that the Garmin calculated. Maybe it was the only one possible, I don't know, but you know, it was much further and into the wind and the rain, and that it absolutely stuffed me. Anyway, so I'm going to get the ferry at 2:15 or something, but that's going to mean that it's really tight at the other end getting down to Hook of Holland. So I think I'm going to take the train from the ferry from Stavoren goes to Enkhuizen. I'll get the train from Enkhuizen to Amsterdam, and I'll ride from there. And that feels like cheating, and I'm trying to work out if I feel like I'm cheating or not. I don't know. I've no idea. Originally, when I looked at this, like back in the UK months ago, planning it, I wanted to get the ferry to Amsterdam, but there wasn't one. And the miles that I'll make up by taking the train, it's about the same as the extra detour I did up there because of that little waterway. So I don't think I'll be any less. Anyway, I don't know what I'm rabbiting on about. I'm too tired. Now, that wind was awful. Still is. Well, so I did make it to the ferry, as you can see, but only by taking trains all the way from Stavoren, and even then only with 15 minutes to spare. So that little stretch of water that I couldn't get across at 7:20 in the morning, that caused me immense hassle. It meant I couldn't ride all the way back home again, which is a bit sad, but there we go. So just leaving Harwich now and heading back down to London, and the final leg of the journey. And better tie up some loose ends as well. I'm going along the Essex coast round near Brightlingsea, using the little foot ferry from Point Clear to Mersey Island. But back to those loose ends, the last time I mentioned Goethe's Faust, I was coming down that mountainside, wasn't I? I was very happy that the weather was so good. I believe that's very unusual for that mountain. So you've seen it in ideal conditions. But in Goethe's Faust, it's like I think I mentioned, it's dark and misty and stormy, and you can imagine it like that, you know, with all those flattened trees, and be quite a place. It's a really great scene, that one. Vivid and exciting.
But I saved the best till last. The kicker's at the end. Because you know how in Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus he gets dragged off to hell at the end? The sting in the tail in Goethe's Faust is that Faust, wait for it, goes to heaven. How does he manage that, I hear you gasp? Remember those bets I mentioned earlier on? Of course, he lost his bet with Mephistopheles. So the twist is that the devil loses his bet with God as a result of Faust's perpetual striving for knowledge and for goodness, even though he did it the wrong way. I've got back, haven't I? That was brilliant. Well, in time-honoured fashion, I'm going to end my video here, because that was Big Ben to the top of the Brocken and nearly back. Sadly didn't pedal all the way back, as we know. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back with another one. I'll be back with another one with very different landscape, the next one, I hope. So look out for that in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching. Ride safely.